When we look at other YouTube channels, we feel there are many things we wish we had too. Their subscriber numbers, their growth rate, or their output volume. But there's one thing in our channel that we think can rival the best channels out there, and that is the quality of the comments we get. Through the Visual Letters videos, we try to highlight some interesting contributions from our viewers and give them the attention they deserve. In this edition, we will cover contributions to the following videos: The Art of Game Balance, Anti-Fragile Game Developers, and One Thing Games Can Learn from Religion. We will try to keep our answers short this time to make space for as many of your comments as possible. Before we dive into your beautiful contributions, we want to remind you to click on the notification bell if you're already subscribed to the channel, and hit the like button. Now let's start. The first letter is by our Patreon Lars Vader, who commented on The Art of Game Balance, a video in which we explored using Nietzsche's ideas on balance between Apollo and Dionysus in games. Another great example where the ambivalence of the two manifests in one character would be the new Spider-Man by Insomniac Games. You literally fly as Spider-Man, Dionysus, through the city and crush your enemy's bones, and land in the lab where you fulfill very Apollonian tasks as Peter Parker. Answer: yes, Lars. Switching between the two states in Spider-Man was a great idea by Insomniac Games. I hope they add more Apollonian aspects to the rumoured upcoming sequel. Wouldn't it be good if we see that in a Batman game as well? The second letter is by Patrick Lapierre, who also commented on The Art of Game Balance. This topic is very interesting and can be seen even in music, which is mostly an Apollo-dominated art form. But hear me out. I specialise in jazz music and can vouch that having the perfect balance of Apollo and Dionysus is very important in the genre, in making a piece interesting and enjoyable to listen to. Jazz does have an edge on other genres due to the fact that it's entirely built around improvisation from soloists, but that's where this perfect balance will come into play. To me, if a soloist can make their improv as interesting as possible by adding in phrases, licks, and even changing key, but also not getting too carried away and potentially losing the interest of the listener due to overcomplication or saturation, that is the key factor when determining whether or not a solo was effective. This can be very difficult because you want to keep things interesting, but also leave some room to breathe so that it isn't overpowering. But you also don't want to leave too much room because you could completely lose all the interest and tension that the solo was building up. Without getting too off topic, jazz is the most creative form of music due to its use of improvisation. Answer: well, this was a short version of Patrick's comment, which can be fully read in the original video. Patrick, like many people who follow our channel, can see parallels between the topics we talk about in video games and other fields of art, in this case, music. Your point about a soloist breaking the Apollonian structure of a musical piece and injecting a short burst of the Dionysian component is exactly what we aimed to say in the video. And also to your point, music is actually the main example that was used by Nietzsche himself in his first book about the Dionysian-Apollonian balance. Colin Downey commented on Anti-Fragile Game Developers. I'm confused about your point about predicting less and embracing anti-fragility more. Isn't investing in multiple smaller projects, in the case of Sony, predicting that the market will have diverse demands? I'd also say that the stagnation of the gaming industry is a result of its growth. Sequels to big franchises have been able to placate the user base because there's something comforting about the familiarity of playing a franchise like Call of Duty or Battlefield that small developers can't substitute for with indie games. I think companies like Sony use anti-fragility successfully because they have known profitabilities like Spider-Man to further projects that are more ambitious and explorational. They're able to offer supply for most of the market's demands. Game developers should question how volatile the majority of market share really is, because there isn't a sign of big franchises' profits slowing down anytime soon, and what it would take for a paradigm shift in the industry. Telltale could be a telltale sign, that the market is shifting, but I don't think many COD, FIFA, and GTA players were buying The Walking Dead. Answer: isn't investing in multiple smaller projects in the case of Sony predicting that the market will have diverse demands? No, it's the opposite of predicting. It's the result of not knowing in which direction the market will go. Think of investing in stock. People usually invest in mutual or index funds instead of specific companies because they don't know which company will actually succeed and grow. Diversity gives you some safety in this case, and in the case of Sony, they don't know what new gaming idea will be embraced by the gaming community, and that's why they invest in different directions. If they were good at predicting, then Sony would have a better rate of profitable projects than their current 4 out of 10. Look at an industry like tire production, for example. It needs no creativity and no paradigm shift that shakes the industry. It makes a specific product for a specific purpose. Video games, on the other hand, is an industry full of competing for creative ideas. Chariot Rider commented on anti-fragile game developers. I think indie games are an excellent example of taking risks for the general good of the gaming industry. These small companies take a lot of risks to innovate with new gameplay styles. Many indies fail, but some of them have the power to change the industry as a whole. Just look at the impact Minecraft had on the market and the wave of survival games that followed. These games are pushing the medium to its limits, and I'm excited to see what they find next, even if they might fail in the end. Answer: exactly. Their failures are a tragedy on a small scale, but when seen through the lens of the industry as a whole, we should thank them. Our dear indie developers who went bust, we thank you. Your failures are the reason why this industry is anti-fragile, and the gaming world as a whole owes you a huge debt. Our patron Edgar commented on what games can learn from religion. Oh my, what a great video. I had to pause after it to reflect a bit. Now I know why your videos have so many architecture and maths references. It also has economics, literary, and philosophical. This video has made me think and also appreciate more the video games I own. As most grown gamers with a job, my backlog is endless, and unavoidably I focus on AAA games, which sometimes get repetitive and it becomes a rut, and a new one comes out and I get it. I own plenty of indie games, and now I will commit to playing them more since they are more creative most of the time. Answer: the reason why we talk a lot about architecture is that Hytham, our writer, is an architect. There are many similarities and overlaps between creative fields, so if an idea is helping in architecture, like Via Negativa, then there must be a way to implement it in video games. King Casales commented on religion and video games. I became confused by the definition of Via Negativa. When you talk about religion, Via Negativa is a process of finding what something is not. When you talk about self-help books, Via Negativa is about what not to do. And when you begin to talking about games in the second part of the video, it feels as if you are combining Via Negativa with the idea or philosophy of learning from failure. I find it odd that you would present Apple and Steve Jobs as an avenue to learn from Via Negativa, and not others like Miyamoto or Rockstar. Is there not also one Apple and one Steve Jobs? I would also argue that Apple's success is not completely from their Via Negativa design choices, but from their very successful marketing, which you used video and quotes from. Answer: I see why you might get confused by the different interpretations of Via Negativa's meaning in the video, but at its core it has one message. We get closer to knowing what things are by learning what they are not. Knowing what not to do, to know what to do, is nothing but a practical translation of it. I didn't say Apple's success is simply because of Via Negativa. Marketing, technology, design, and many other factors contribute to that success, but most of these other factors were shared by many other tech companies. Via Negativa, on the other hand, was not. I could have used the process of elimination, the method of negation, to describe the idea without using the word Via Negativa, but why rely on using descriptions of a word that already exists? That's it for this round of visual letters. We will try to make them more frequent. We would like to thank our patrons who support us through Patreon. Your encouragement means the world to us. I'm your host Elizabeth, and behind the computer screen is Hytham. We thank you and see you soon.